I read like 3 pages, 3, then 3. Then Mama reads 3. And we make it in circle like that, right?
Okay. I'm not reading. Okay. I don't know how to read.
Okay. Only Suubi won't read, but for the rest we'll read, okay? Deal?
Even solo.
Deal?
Deal.
Okay. The book is Who Was Fidel Castro, right? We go?
Yeah.
Fidel, Fidel, Fidel. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the city of Havana, the capital of Cuba, were shouting for Fidel Castro. It was the evening of January 8, 1959. A week earlier, Fidel and his forces had overthrown President Batista and the government of Cuba. The crowds in Havana were waiting for their new leader to speak about his plans for the country. Cubans were ready for freedom and changes that Fidel had promised them. The Cuban people were ready for a new leader. Spotlights shone.
Chapter 1. A Privileged Childhood. Fidel Castro was born on August 13, 1926. His father was named Angel. He was the owner of a sugarcane plantation. A plantation is a very large farm that usually grows one to be able to give his own family the things he did not have as a child. The plantation...
Did you understand that?
Did you understand that?
Who understood that part? Yeah, what did it say, Shalom?
It said that Fidel's father, Angel, tried to give the things to his children that he didn't have in a childhood.
Why?
Because they were expensive by then, and he wanted his kids to have a better life than he did.
That guy is
yeah. Yes, you, Suubi. What do you understand?
I understand nothing.
Okay. That's okay. That's fine. You will understand everything.
Okay.
I'm following Fidel.
Let's
Good. Yes, Fidel Castro.
Okay, let's go on.
The plantation grew to over 25,000 acres. 300 families lived and worked on the property. Many of the laborers worked on the plantation.
Are you listening?
And the workers often ate meals with Fidel and his family.
What did he say?
The workers often ate meals with Fidel and his family.
Yeah. Although Fidel was the boss's child, he always played
with the children,
with the laborers' children, the children of the workers.
Now it's Shalom's time.
Please go ahead.
Shalom's time.
Yeah.
I'm giving
History of Cuba.
Yeah.
Today, the island nation of Cuba has a population of about 11 million people.
Yeah.
Native tribes called Taino, Siboluni, and Guanhabe lived in Cuba for thousands of years. They lived in small villages and hunted, fished, and grew crops such as sweet potatoes, corn, cotton, and tobacco. But this changed in 1492 when Christopher Columbus landed in Cuba. He claimed the island now belonged to Spain. The Spanish ruled Cuba for hundreds of years. Then in 1895, Cubans fought a war against Spain and won independence in 1898. But the men who ruled Cuba after this were corrupt. They took bribes and cheated at elections. The last of the three rulers was Francisco Batista. Fidel Castro overthrew him. This is where Cuba is.
The capital city is
Havana. Oh, sorry. You knew it, eh? I had wanted to ask this guy. What's the capital of Cuba, Shadrack?
Havana.
Good.
Fidel saw that his life was very difficult from the lives of the workers. The Castro children never worried about having enough to eat. They dressed in fine clothes and went to private schools. They rode horses, swam in the river, hunted, fished, and climbed in the nearby mountains. Fidel spent a lot of time with his older brother, Ramon, and his youngest brother, Ruel. The brothers were very close, especially Fidel and Ro. Ro looked up to Fidel, and Fidel always looked out for his younger brother. Here they are. Tiny and From a very young age, Fidel had a stubborn streak and a strong temper. Although a bright boy, he had a hard time sitting still at school. Fidel argued with his teachers and fought with other students. He was always determined to get his own way. When Fidel was about 7 years old, his parents sent him to La Salle, a private Catholic boarding school. Ramon and Raul were also sent there. Their parents hoped that the boarding school would help their sons, especially Fidel, behave and be better students. But that did not happen. Fidel and his brothers did very little work and did not get good grades.
That was terrible.
That was bad, eh?
At the end of Fidel's 4th grade year, Angel brought his sons home. He refused to send them back to school. Although Fidel didn't like school, he didn't want to be stuck at home. In fact, he threatened to burn down the family house. So Fidel's father gave in, but he decided to send Fidel to an even stricter school.
Military school.
In 1940, Fidel moved to Dolores Academy. Raul joined his older brothers at that school when he was old enough to attend. That school's many rules had a good effect on Fidel. He studied more and his grades improved. Fidel also discovered he was good at sports. He made it onto the boxing score. He made it into the boxing, soccer, and baseball teams.
So he improved. He became a better person.
When most of the students came from Havana, they were rich city boys and made fun of Fidel for being a countryside. They called him a peasant being behind his back. Mama's time.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's okay. You sit there. I'm reading from here. A letter to the president.
Yeah.
On November 6, 1940, Fidel wrote a letter. On November 6, 1940, Fidel wrote a letter to the U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In the letter, he told the president that he listened to him on the radio. Fidel said he was happy that Roosevelt had won a 3rd term in office. Fidel asked the president to send him a $10 bill since he had never seen one. Fidel also said he would show the president the largest iron mines in Cuba. Fidel thought the United States might want the iron for shipbuilding. Fidel's letter received a reply from the White House, but it did not include a $10 bill. For the rest of his life, Fidel spoke of his respect for Roosevelt, who helped the poor in the United States during the Great Depression. Today, Fidel's letter is kept in the National Archives in Washington,